Hello, RDs and RDs to be. Welcome to the RD Exam Ready podcast. I'm Zach Caseberg, your tutor, your coach, your guide along the path of passing the RD exam. My biggest passion is to help RDs and RDs to be just like you, to know how to effectively pass the CDR exam. And if that sounds like you, then hey, you're in the right place. Thank you for all the students who were able to join us for our recent RD Exam Ready Live that we hosted on YouTube. We had an excellent session reviewing practice questions together from all four domains. If you enjoyed that session and you want to join other ones, make sure that you check us out on social media, everywhere and anywhere, TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube under RD Exam Ready for the channel page. And if you do want to get the PDF notes of those practice questions or whatever we cover in those topics, you just have to join the mailing list that's attached to the description of this podcast. Get on that mailing list, and I'll be sure to get you those notes after we hold those sessions. Just make sure you're looking around and following, subscribing, just so you see when we're going to do new content in the future. Now that it's getting warm out, it's my favorite time of year because the good thing is I can start growing fruits and vegetables at home. It's probably one of my favorite hobbies by far is growing my own food, making my own recipes, preserving things so that I can use it throughout the winter, even though I have only a really small garden in a few pots. We're not talking about a whole plot of land here. It's just really fun to say, hey, I grew this and I get to eat it and make it into something now. When it comes to fruits and vegetables, we commonly always think of the pigments and the phytochemicals that are found inside of them. How colors change in different acid, base, synthetic dyes in your diet can really be a helpful way to go about knowing this information for exam day. It's a really cool part of food science is all about these phytochemicals and the pigments that are found in fruits and vegetables. That's going to be our topic that we review today is our phytochemicals, the health benefits seen, and then we're going to transfer that into the different plant pigments and make sure you know how they're going to act in an acid, a base, or excessive heat situation. Let's dive in. A phytochemical is a non-nutritive chemical found in plants, different fruits, vegetables, and it's considered beneficial to health. Regarding its health effects, phytonutrients are specifically known for being anti carcinogenic or inhibiting cancers. These beneficial compounds are found in almost all plant foods, including fruits, vegetables, grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, herbs, and spices. They've also been found in things like tea, coffee, and chocolate, which probably are three of my most favorite things, I would say. The primary way that phytochemicals are known as phytonutrients is they provide this benefit by acting as antioxidants, protecting the body from free oxygen radical damage to cell membranes. That helps out with things like DNA molecules and other important structures of the body. Common phytonutrients are things like carotenoids, flavonoids, which are all very dense in antioxidants and help prevent different types of cancers. We're going to review over each different type of phytochemical or the major ones for exam day and just make sure you know those health benefits. Starting with polyphenols. Polyphenols are the large class of phytochemicals, and within polyphenols are things like flavonoids, stilbenes, ligands, lutulins. Those are going to be common different subcategories of a polyphenol. Flavonoids are the things that we're going to talk about later with pigments, but those are usually found in things like berries and nuts, different types of kind of dark colored, blue, purple types of things. And flavonoids are great because they can act as an antioxidant. They can be hypocholesterolemic, meaning they'll prevent high cholesterol, and they're anti inflammatory. They may also prevent progression of many chronic diseases such as cardiovascular disease. And then we have also different types of flavonoids like phenolic compounds, which have the possibility of helping out with your heart health, cancer protection, and gut health. For common food sources of these different polyphenols, you just need to know it would be things such as fruits like apples, berries, grapes, vegetables like onions and spinach, coffee, tea, red wine, whole grains, flax seeds, nuts, and grains. The health benefits, just to review, would be that they have some level of cardiovascular protection, whether that's preventing heart disease in general or just from high cholesterol from developing. They have anti inflammatory effects, and they may reduce the risk of cancer and other chronic diseases, while also helping to support your brain health. Carotenoids are going to be your next one. And your subcategories of carotenoids would be things like xanthophylls, lycopene, just to name a few here. Common food sources of carotenoids are things like carrots, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, leafy greens like spinach, kale, mango, which is one of my favorite fruits, basically most of those orange, reds, and yellows that we see. Now, the carotenoids are known for their health benefits. Specifically, lycopene is known for lowering the risk of prostate and certain GI cancers, but carotenoids in general also help with antioxidant ability, eye health. We certainly know that vitamin A and provitamin A contribute to carotene and carotenoids. They help out with immune support and also may reduce cancer risk as well. A third pigment or a different phytochemical that you may or may not be familiar with is glucosinolates. Glucosinolates include things like isothiocyanates, indoles, and these would be common food sources found in broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, just to name a few. You can tell it's lots of dark green, leafy type of vegetables here. These can have the health benefits of cancer prevention, and they help to detoxify enzyme activation. They can also help support the liver as it detoxifies the body and removes a lot of the extra that we don't need, and it serves to be anti inflammatory. So, to review, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, leafy greens can help prevent certain cancers, support liver detoxification, and serve to be anti inflammatory. We also have organosulfur compounds, which have the subcategories of things like sulfides, thiols. These are commonly found in things like garlic, onions, leeks, and a lot of these kind of root vegetables like shallots and onions. They can have health benefits for being cardiovascular protective. They can be antimicrobial. We kind of talk about prebiotics sometimes with these too, and they may also help lower cholesterol and blood pressure. Your next one will be your phytoestrogens, estrogens here. In those subcategories would be things like isoflavones and ligands, which are also classified under polyphenols a little bit here. Common food sources of those would be soy products, flax seeds, legumes, and whole grains. What these are so great for is they help with hormonal balance. Specifically, a lot of those isoflavones, they can serve as estrogen, as an estrogen receptor there. So, with certain hormone responsive cancers, they can help to kind of prevent or decrease the risk of those cancers by serving in the place of estrogen or kind of blocking that receptor there. It may reduce menopausal symptoms in some, help with bone health support, and possible reduction, as I said, in hormone related cancers, specifically things like breast cancers for sure. Another category here of phytochemicals is saponins. Saponins have a couple different subcategories that you won't need to know for exam day, but there's steroidal saponins, there's another type of saponin as well. And these are commonly found in things like beans, lentils, chickpeas, and quinoa. Those would be your common sources of those different saponins. These can be excellent at lowering cholesterol, helping with immune support, and potential anti cancer effects, but heavy on the potential there. Tannins are our next one, which we always see tannins with tea and coffee. We really think of that with tannins, right? Grapes as well. The different tannins have the ability of helping out to be an antioxidant. We know green tea can serve to be an antioxidant for many people. It can be antimicrobial and can maybe support gut health as one of the benefits that tannins might have. Now, getting more into like herbs and spices, we have capsaicinoids or capsaicin, like that of black pepper or paprika or chili peppers. This is going to be, capsaicin is really going to be found in those foods. And the health benefits that they have is that they can provide pain relief, they can increase your metabolism, and they may support weight management. Phytosterols are our next one, which are going to be things like sterols and stanols. And common food sources of this phytochemical would be nuts, seeds, vegetable oils, fortified foods. And the health benefits that they may provide is what you would think of for these types of foods anyway. They may help lower your LDL cholesterol, your bad cholesterol. They may help your heart health as well. So, really, when it comes to phytochemicals, I want you to focus on the major classes of them, like knowing, the different ones that we started out with here, knowing carotenoids, knowing your polyphenols is going to be so important for just knowing and understanding phytochemicals and any questions that may come up on it. Now, a separate but somewhat related discussion is how plant pigments act during certain circumstances. Plant pigments themselves, the colors that we see, fall into three main categories. Firstly would be carotenoids, secondly is chlorophyll, and thirdly is flavonoids, but not in that order. So we're going to review over these plant pigments and make sure you have what you need for exam day. Carotenoids, like we said, are going to be those yellow, orange, and red fruits and vegetables. Carotene is a certain subclass of carotenoids. We know that carotene can include beta carotene, which converts vitamin A. And one thing about that is that excessive heat can destroy vitamin A. So that's one good note to make on carotene or carotenoids. The pigment itself, the orange, it's extremely stable. It's very stable. However, the vitamin A, the vitamin that's found in it in beta carotene, is not as stable. So, if you want to hold on to that beta carotene, make sure you don't overcook those fruits and vegetables that have carotenoids. We also have lycopene and xanthophylls as other subclasses of these different carotenoids here. As I said, they're very stable in general, maybe not so much to heat, but they are very stable to pH. Test this out at home. If you add acid, such as lemon juice, to your carrots, do they change color? Not really. Not really. They don't change to like a blue or a green or some dramatic yellow color. In general, if I add lemon juice to my carrots, they stay a nice orange color. The same is said for if you add a base to it. So, if I had a base such as baking soda or something very alkaline, it is not going to change the color of your carotenoids. They're very stable to pH. They can handle a good amount of heat too, but of course, if you want to retain a lot of that vitamin A, then you would avoid overheating them. But if you just wanted to maintain your orange color, you're probably going to be fine no matter how much you heat up those carotenoids there. The next class I want to go through is flavonoids. Remember, that's the large class, and the subclasses of flavonoids would include things such as anthocyanins, anthocyanthins, and betalains would be a third subclass that you may or may not know about. Anthocyanins always makes me think of cyan blue. Cyanin, cyan blue. This is going to be found in things like red cabbage and other blue things like blueberries. These are not as consistent when it comes to pH. Whenever I add an acid, such as lemon juice or vinegar, to an anthocyanin, it takes that color and it turns it to red. If you ever did a red cabbage lab at any point when you were an intern or when you were doing your studies, you may have done this type of exercise. If I take red cabbage, which is normally like a purplish color or a bluish color, and I cook it in lemon juice, what's going to happen is going to turn to a bright, vibrant red. Not very stable in pH, I would say. Compared to a base, if I take that red cabbage and I cook it in baking soda or something very alkaline, what happens to it is it turns blue. So I think base blue. It turns to a bluish green color, and that's what you see when it comes to anthocyanins. Those anthocyanthins, once again, that's going to be another subclass of flavonoids, is going to be things that are white, like onions and cauliflower and garlic, perhaps. With anthocyanthins found in those white foods, if I add an acid, such as lemon juice or vinegar, what's going to happen is it's going to turn to a very bright and vibrant white. It's going to be like a bleached white, almost, you could say. Whereas if I had a base, it almost turns to a yellowish color. So, one helpful trick on this a little bit is just thinking of like anthocyanthins. Maybe we think of like teeth. and white. And if I add acid like bleach, it brightens it up and makes my teeth nice and white. Whereas if I add a base, maybe it turns it to like a yellowish color, which maybe not be as attractive as we would see. Also, another thing that might happen is that if I cook my cauliflower or my garlic or my onions under excessive heat or in a pan that is iron or copper, it can also change the colors of that food too. So if I cook it in something like a cast iron skillet, my cauliflower or my different foods like that may turn to a bluish black, reddish brown color a little bit under those different circumstances of cooking in something like a copper pan or cast iron. So that's something to watch out for when it comes to your different anthocyanthins. Your third subcategory of flavonoids will be your betalains. And betalains are purplish red. When I add an acid to a betalain, it turns to a brighter red. When I add a base to it, it turns to a yellowish color. So in general, anthocyanins, they don't handle pH too well. Heat, they do okay with, but when it comes to excessive changes in pH, it's going to really throw things off in that case. Chlorophyll is your third and final one here. Chlorophyll is, of course, found in those green types of foods, so zucchini, kale, spinach, you name it. It's responsible for the green color of plants, and it also helps with the essential process of photosynthesis. As foods with chlorophyll degrade and are exposed to oxygen, the chlorophyll itself degrades. This is why sometimes you might see broccoli that's in the store that has some yellowish leaves on it. They're no longer green, they've turned to like a yellowish color. And that is because of that exposure to that amount of oxygen. Okay, just being oxidized, it's changed that chlorophyll to turn colors a little bit there. One way that we can retain some of the green color of chlorophyll or enhance it is by blanching our vegetables, right? When you dip your vegetables in a boiling water or simmering water, it can really brighten them up a good amount. But keeping in mind that you would then need to shock or put them in ice water or in ice cubes so that you stop all that cooking process and hold on to that color. So don't get carried away from overcooking it in that case, just shocking it briefly there. Chlorophyll is not known for being stable, definitely not stable compared to carotenoids. You can minimize the changes of colors of chlorophyll by keeping your cooking times very short, adding a small amount of sugar, and heating the food uncovered for the first few minutes to allow organic acids to escape. I'm trying to make baby food recently now, and we're going to do some like pureed broccoli. So we tried out pureed broccoli, and when I steamed it, what I noticed was I left the top on it and it turned quite brown. It turned to a very unattractive color, which is okay. But a better way I could have done that would be to leave the top off of it for a few minutes, let some of those kind of organic compounds come off of those organic acids to escape, and maybe it wouldn't turn to such a funky color. Now let's talk pH. We've talked cooking with chlorophyll. Let's finish up with our pH. With acid and excessive heat, chlorophyll will convert to a compound known as pheophytin. Pheophytin is this olive brown color. It's not very attractive. And whenever I think of pheophytin, I think about fighting off acid and fighting off heat. That's what pheophytin is fighting off there. So the chlorophyll has now changed to a compound known as pheophytin due to excessive amounts of acid, such as lemon juice or vinegar, or due to excessively heating your chlorophyll foods. I remember growing up in public school, all the time I would see green beans sitting out on the cooking line. They always looked terrible. No offense to the lunch staff, but they looked just garbage. And that was because I was on the last period of lunch. They would put these green beans out, they'd stay out there for several hours. And then by the end of the meal period, yeah, they were looking pretty olive brown colored. And that was due to excessive heat, but excessive amounts of acid could also cause that to happen. Now let's talk base to finish this up. If I add a base like baking soda or something alkaline to that chlorophyll food, What's going to happen is it's not going to be green or as green anymore. It's going to be a bright green. It's going to turn to a bright and vibrant green color when I add a base or an alkaline mixture to it. That bright green compound or that bright green color is known as chlorophyllin. Chlorophyllin, I kind of think of a pimp in a green suit. So chlorophyllin is chilling like a villain. He's got his bass on him. He loves bass in his music. And he turns to this very bright green color in a bright green suit, is what I imagine for chlorophyllin chilling like a villain. Now let's apply what we learned today to practice questions. Number one, which of the following is true regarding flavonoids? A. They will turn blue under acidic conditions. B. They are carcinogenic. C. They have cardioprotective effects. Or D. They are found in carrots, bell pepper, and summer squash. Which of the following is true regarding flavonoids? Let's use process of elimination to help us out here. For A, they will turn blue under acidic conditions. I don't believe that's the case. Although we know flavonoids are generally going to be those types of bluish, reddish, purplish type of colors, if I add a if I add an acid to them, I don't think that they're going to turn really to that type of color. They might actually turn to more of a red color if I add an acid. So I'm going to rule out answer A first. Specifically, anthocyanins really turn to a red whenever you add an acid. A is not a good fit. B, they are carcinogenic, meaning they grow cancer cells. I don't think so either. I think they're anti carcinogenic or prevent those cancer cells. So I'm going to get rid of B here. C, they have cardioprotective effects. I like this as an answer, so I'm going to hold on to that. In D, they are found in carrots, bell pepper, and summer squash. Well, I really think more of our carotenoids is having those types of benefits there, right? So D doesn't really seem like a good answer to me, and I think I would rule that one out as well. So for number one, my best answer for what is going to be the best fit for our flavonoids, I would say our best fit there is going to be answer C. They have cardioprotective effects. Number two, a food service dietitian notices that the roasted asparagus with lemon juice has degraded to an olive brown color. This is most likely due to A. Excessive acid causing degradation of chlorophyll to phyophytin. B. Excessive heat causing degradation of chlorophyll to phyophytin. C. Excessive base causing conversion of chlorophyll to chlorophyllin. Or D. Excessive acid causing degradation of chlorophyll to chlorophyllin. Okay, that's a tough one. And we did this the other night when we did our RD Exam Ready Live. Let's read it one more time. A food service dietitian notices that the roasted asparagus with lemon juice has degraded to an olive brown color. This is most likely due to what? So let's think back. Lemon juice, roasted asparagus, olive brown color. Let's see what fits with that rhetoric there. For A, excessive acid causing degradation of chlorophyll to phyophytin. This is a true statement. Whenever I add excessive acid to chlorophyll, it turns to an olive brown color of phyophytin. In my question, we also added lemon juice or acid to the asparagus. I think this is a good fit and I would like to hold on to it for now, but I want to see my other answers. B. Excessive heat causing degradation of chlorophyll to phyophytin. This also could be a true statement, although I'm leaning closer to A. I'm just going to put a question mark by B for right now and come back to it. C. Excessive base causing conversion of chlorophyll to chlorophyllin. Well, while this is a true statement, it doesn't fit with the answer or the question itself, because in the question, the asparagus turned to an olive brown color, and in this case, we're saying it turned to a bright green. C is not a good answer, and we didn't add any base in the first place. D. Excessive acid causing degradation of chlorophyll to chlorophyllin. Well, chlorophyll does not convert to chlorophyllin in an acid. It does so in a base. So I'm going to rule out answers C and D. Now I'm stuck between answer A, excessive acid causing degradation of chlorophyll to pheophytin, or B, excessive heat causing that same effect? Because of that lemon juice addition in the question, I feel like answer A will be my best fit, that this olive brown color in the asparagus was caused by excessive acid causing degradation of chlorophyll to pheophytin. Number 3. A researcher observes lower incidence of breast cancer in Asian populations who consume tofu. This is most likely due to A, the high protein content of tofu, reducing overall fat intake. B, isoflavones in soy acting as weak estrogens that compete for endogenous estrogen. C, the calcium in tofu inhibiting tumor growth in breast tissue. Or D, soy increasing metabolic rate leading to reduced cancer risk. A researcher observes lower incidence of breast cancer in Asian populations who consume tofu. This is most likely due to. Let's see these answers. Use process of elimination. A. The high protein content of food reducing overall fat intake. Well, that might be true. I don't see how that's going to fit too well with breast cancer risk. So I'm going to get rid of A because I don't think that's a good fit for us. B. Isoflavones in soy acting as weak estrogens that compete with endogenous estrogen. I like this as an answer. I think this is going to be a true statement, so I'm going to hold on to it. C. The calcium in tofu inhibiting tumor growth in breast tissue. This could be true. I don't really know if it is off the top of my head, so maybe I'll put a little question mark by it, but I'm not going to pick it as my best answer yet because I don't have enough knowledge to really say that, right? D. Soy increasing metabolic rate leading to reduced cancer risk. Hmm, I don't necessarily know if soy is going to increase metabolic rate. I haven't heard that before, and it just doesn't feel like a good answer to me. So I'm going to rule out answer D. Now I'm stuck between B and C. B. Isoflavones in soy acting as weak estrogens that compete with endogenous estrogen. Or C. The calcium in tofu inhibiting tumor growth in breast tissue. I'm going to go with what I know is probably best, which is answer B. So, a researcher observes lower incidence of breast cancer in Asian populations who consume tofu, and this is most likely due to B. Isoflavones in soy acting as weak estrogens that compete with endogenous estrogen. That wraps up today's lesson, students. I hope you watched, listened, learned, and enjoyed today's podcast. Remember, passing this exam is a journey. We all need assistance along the way. Do yourself, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Tell other studying students, rate, review, comment, help spread the word. And as always, happy studying to you, RD to be.